Yo, what is up gamers? Today I wanted to talk to you about a new discovery in World of Warcraft applicable to every single class and spec and role in the game, and that is a discovery about the all-purpose trinket called the Ruby Whelp Shell. Previously thought to be pretty terrible, drops from the first boss in the Ruby Lifepools Dungeon, yeah, there's been some interesting information that's come out over the past few days. I heard about this about 2 days ago over on the live stream, and I thought that it was about time to bring you a video. I've read the article and checked it all, seen some other people talking about it as well, so it's looking pretty promising. Don't take it as the be all end all because they are still collecting a lot of data about this trinket, but there's potential for this to be pretty good, as we'll go into in a second. And if you do want to read this full article, I will link it in the description of this video as well. So while you're down there, also leave a like, okay? So let's jump into it. We're talking about the trinket called the Ruby Whelp Shell, as you see it equipped here on my character. It dynamically changes its main stat with whatever specialization you are in, so agility, strength, or intellect. And it's actually entirely passive. It has an on use, but as you can see, it has a 1-day cooldown on that on use. So the equip is just going to summon every now and then a little dragon to your side, which is going to cast an ability depending on how you train your dragon. So yeah, the on use, which is on the 1-day cooldown, is actually how you train your dragon, and there are 6 different ways for you to train it. It only takes like the click of a button, so it's not like running around all of Azeroth to train it and kind of an annoyance. You can just walk somewhere once a day and press a button and it will train it up slowly, and it takes 6 days to train it to maximum capabilities. Then it just becomes an entirely passive stat stick trinket, which will do something depending on how you train it. So let's jump into the different abilities it can have, and those are either a single target damage, which just basically just does fireballs like you'd think of a traditional whelp in World of Warcraft. It's got AoE damage, where it'll just throw an AoE fireball. It can give you a crit buff or a haste buff, and these crit and haste buffs are known to be pretty good, like stat-wise budget. They've been known at max capacity to give like over 2,000 crit or haste, which is quite a lot of secondary stats. Admittedly, it's on a proc, so it's hard to time it. If you could do it on use, that would be incredibly powerful. But still, if you do like crit or haste, could be very, very good for your class. And is also applicable to healers with a single target heal. I guess it'll just target a random ally and heal them, or an AoE healing proc. So I would say maybe a little bit less of a good thing for healers unless you also like the stat buffs. Now the article does also go into detail on how to train each specific ability. So as you can see here, haste buffs stand within healing, target dummies in Valdrakken. Crit buffs stand in the middle of nowhere and target yourself. Single target damage, find an isolated mob and target it. AoE damage, target the cleave dummies in Valdrakken. Single target heal, target Alexstrasza, so that'll be up the top of the tower. And then AoE heal, target one of the healing dummies in Valdrakken. So you can train it however you like. It's still unsure, because I think people have only found out about this about 4 days ago, what the best kind of combination of training abilities, whether it will be all the way up to level 6 on one of them and then nothing on the others, or maybe you want to train a mixture of different abilities. Maybe that will increase how often it can proc and things like that. People don't fully know, but you can actually check with this script what your dragon is currently trained at. Now you might have had one in the past and deleted it. It will actually keep your training level that you were at previously. So if you got one of these even in like normal at the very beginning of Dragonflight and you were using it just to see what it did, it might have a training point like mine does. So if I run this script, you guys can't see my chat, but I can do this. Ignore the fact that I've been silenced. We have a fire shot. I've got one on the fire shot, which is just a single target nuke, and I've got one of them on the crit buff, which is the Sleepy Ruby Warmth, which is one I actually did today, which is why my trinket's on cooldown. So this one I did today, and this one I did I think on my very, very first Mythic 0 sweep at the very beginning of Dragonflight, where I got a trinket, I had nothing else, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll equip it. And I think I just used it in combat, and I obviously just shot it at one mob, maybe on a boss or something, and it trained one level in the fire shot. So This was an old trinket, so I can confirm that, you know, if you upgrade the trinket, say you have it at like 370 now and you get one at 400, it will keep that training on it. Likewise, if you wanted to go and farm a trinket now but you don't want to farm it in Mythic Plus, you could just spam normal Ruby Lifepools on repeat. You could probably solo it at this point if you have a good eye level. Just go kill the first boss, get the trinket, and start training up over 6 days in the area that you want. So you could do that, and then, you know, you could get a good item level 1 later and it will already be trained up. So people are still kind of collecting data, as I said, about what's going to be, you know, the best use for this trinket, if it's even used at all. But people are saying it's looking pretty decent, way stronger than people gave it credit for in the past. So might be wise to either item restore a trinket that you had at the beginning of Dragonflight, or go farm one on normal or something and start training it up. And then when we have a bit more information, we can make a better decision on whether or not it's worth using. Now, the data they have on it so far is they have a Teros log. It is limited, to be honest, but they have a 6-minute Teros log where they say that it's keeping up with a Manic Grief Torch. So you can see on this, it is admittedly a Vengeance DH, so take it with a pinch of salt. But the fire shot, which is a single target damage shot, I guess, from the Ruby Whelp, is actually doing a little bit higher than the Grief Torch at 7.5% over 3k DPS, which is pretty good, to be honest, for a trinket. I don't know what eye level they have it at here, and what eye level Grief Torch. I guess I could probably check here. We have a 421 Ruby Whelp Shell and a heroic Grief Torch. So admittedly, you know, a 421 one is pretty good. I don't know if this is max trained up at 6 out of 6 on that fireball, but you can see it's pretty decent. And on top of that, it's also just giving main stat agility as well, right? So that's pretty good. And then the other information they have is of it providing over 2000 crit on the crit buff, which is apparently more than Bone Moor's Big Toe would give at 421, which is a strength trinket from Shadowmoon Burial Grounds, by quite a decent amount, over 500 crit. But this one also does damage on use as well. So, you know, again, not a direct comparison with like a crit stat stick or something like that. And apparently there's also a bug with it. But then again, those could get fixed later down the line if enough people make noise about this, which seems people are. Blizzard might address the bugs and stuff and make it good or better, or fix it, or whatever that means. So next steps is apparently they just want to collect more and more data, and apparently there's over 10,000 training mode combinations, so they want to test everything. Don't know how well that will be reflected in trinket sims and things like that. But yeah, that's it. So just wanted to bring to light the information, really. You guys can make your own educated decisions on what you want to do with it. That's the video. I just wanted to kind of talk about it briefly. Hopefully this didn't take too long. Let me know in the comments, give the video a thumbs up, but let me know in the comments if you like me covering this kind of stuff, which is a bit more general, smaller, shorter videos, which are a bit less polished like this, where I'm just kind of talking to a camera on the well article. Let me know down below so I can do that, because they're quite easy to bang out. All right. Anyway, subscribe to the channel and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day. And as always, peace.